Excuse me a second while I enjoy my Cocoa Krispies. Hello, beautiful people of the internet. My name is Ellie, and bienvenidos to my YouTube channel. I'm gonna be doing my first check-in in the month of May. I know that I did say all the books that I was gonna read on my May TBR, which if you guys haven't seen it, it's up here. I'll link it somewhere. I had a sort of miscalculation. I ended up traveling to Seattle for the first week of May, and I only brought one physical book with me, which I was already close to finishing, and I didn't have anything else, so I started reading some books that I had on my Kindle, since I take my Kindle everywhere. Let me go ahead and start by the order of how I read them, so let's get started. So the first book that I read for my May TBR is One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. And this was the book that I was buddy reading with my best friend. So in this book, we follow a group of 5 people who break a school rule and end up in detention. And it turns out that one of these 5 people has a sort of like a blog. It's basically a gossip blog, except it's not gossip, it's true. Everything that this person publishes, it's a true statement, but there's secrets that other people don't want to be online. This person ends up in the detention with these other 4, which one of them they consider a brainiac, the other one's the outsider, another one is a jock, and another one, she's considered the pretty one. The gossip blogger ends up dying while they're in detention. Nobody knows how that happened. Nobody knows why. So these 4 students were the only ones remaining with the person that died. They begin an investigation against all 4 of them, since they were the only witnesses that were there when the boy died. Therefore, one of them is the killer. Or so you think. When you find out what happened to the guy that died, that kind of ruined it for me. You have your insta-lovey tropes in here, but unlike This Is Our Story by Ashley Elston, where I could totally overlook the insta-love and the things that were wrong with that book, I can't overlook it on this one. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars on my Goodreads because it wasn't awful. It did keep my attention. I think I just had really high expectations with this book. It's not really the book's fault that I had such high hopes for it, but because I had high hopes for it, I was let down. If you are a younger reader or you're barely getting into thrillers, this would be a good one for you to start with because it's not really complicated and it starts going at a steady pace. Unfortunately for me though, this was just mediocre. I really wanted to like this more, and I'm really sad that I don't like it as much as I wanted to. The next book that I read was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. That is considered adult romance. In this book, there is a publishing house who merged with, I think it's a finance corporation. So when they published together, the 2 CEOs stayed CEOs and they hate each other. Each CEO has their own assistant. The publishing house has a woman CEO. She has a woman assistant. The finance side has a male CEO and he has a male assistant. So these 2 assistants work right outside the offices of the main CEOs, and they work across from each other. This whole story revolves around both of the assistants playing games with each other. We read the book in the perspective of the female assistant, and she completely hates the other assistant. The whole book is basically her trying to make the life of this assistant miserable. In this book, Sally Thorne makes a really good reference of how love and hate are almost the exact same because you feel almost the exact same emotions. Except when you hate somebody, your feelings are so passionate, but in a negative way. When you love someone, you're so passionate in a good way, but there's a fine line that you're tiptoeing between love and hate. So our main character, she is so enthralled. It's basically all she sees is this man. So it's like tunnel vision on this one man. And I know it's part of the plot and it's part of the story, but come on, give me variety. Our main character in the beginning starts off strong and witty and brassy and very ballsy against this other man. But once she crosses that line into falling in love with this guy, she immediately stops being that strong woman and like kind of starts backpedaling a little bit. It felt like to me. I don't really like that. If you're gonna be strong throughout the entire book. Don't recede yourself because of a man. You know what I'm saying? You could see the downward slope that happens when she starts like realizing that, oh, I don't really hate this guy. I love strong female characters, and you were strong in the beginning. Why are you doing this for a dude? That was one of the ebooks that I read, and I gave that a 3 out of 5. I know this book is also a very beloved book on BookTube, but for me it was just okay. It was cute, it was funny, it was a page turner. It really was. It's not awful, and it's not the greatest. If you want a light and fluffy read that has some sexy times in there, that's a good one to go with because it's not awful. I do recommend it. The next ebook that I read is Geek Arella by Ashley Poston. I am about to tell you something. This book I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. I completely love this book. So Geek Arella, we follow a girl named Ella who is living with her stepmother after her father passed away and her twin step-siblings. I thought this was the best retelling of Cinderella ever. When I was a kid and when I was in high school, I used to get make fun of a lot for being such a nerd and such a geek or whatever. So this story really resonated with me. In this Cinderella retelling, Ella is a huge fan of this show called Starfield, which is a sci-fi show, and she runs a blog where she talks about everything and anything Starfield. Her and her father used to watch the show all the time, so that's how they bonded. And before her dad died, he created a con, which is called ExcelsiCon, where just a bunch of people can come and gather, and there's cosplayers, there's panels, and there's a ball that happens for the winners of the cosplay contest. Like I said, Ella runs a blog, so when she finds out that Starfield is getting a reboot, she goes out of her mind. So when she hears word that her favorite prince from this series, which is called Prince Carmendor, is being played in the reboot by a heartthrob. He is an actor who's coming from a soap opera. She loses her mind. She just writes like a scathing post on her blog about this guy. She is saying that how dare they put somebody who doesn't even like the show. They're gonna ruin Starfield because it's so beloved by everybody. They're putting in the wrong actor and things like that. This guy actually turns out that he is a huge geek and he completely loves Starfield. He ends up texting her phone, which happens to be her dad's old phone that she inherited from him when he passed. And he is trying to get out of a panel that is happening at ExcelsiCon. So he contacts the phone number that is still on the website, which happens to be Ella's dad's phone number, which she has now. So they start communicating after that, purely by accident, and a friendship starts growing. Basically, after that, it's just all the adventures that Ella gets into while having this friendship with this actor, but yet they don't know who each other is. It kind of reminds me of the premise of Emergency Contact, except geeky. Eventually, that friendship turns into something more, and it's just really cute and fluffy and fantastic because it just deals with geeky related things, and I can totally relate. My critique for this book is that towards the end, it felt like it was rushed. Like everything happened so fast. I could feel that maybe the author detailed the story so much that by the ending she was like, oh, I need to end this and I need to end this quickly. I thought it was a very awesome, girly, bubbly, fluffy, and all good geeky things in a book, and I enjoyed it, and I absolutely recommend it to everyone. I just feel like you can find things that you can relate to in Ella in this book. Next book that I read is The Accident Season by Moira Fowley Doyle. Oh man, do I have a lot to say about this book. This is probably my second 2-star rating that I have ever given a book. The only other one that got 2 stars was It from Stephen King. Oh my god, did it take me forever to finish this book. In the middle of this book, I stopped reading and picked up another book. In this book, we follow this one girl and her family. Every October, they have what they call an accident season. So they start getting into accidents. Like, they start cutting themselves, they start bumping into sharp edges, they come home with bruises because they fall. There's a couple years in there where their accident season is really bad, where someone ends up dying. So in one of these accident seasons, the main protagonist's father dies. In another accident season, her uncle dies, which is her mom's brother. They don't know why, they don't ask questions, they just live with it. When I was reading this, the way that she's writing is kind of like magical realism, and I wasn't expecting that in this book at all. This was represented to me as a kind of like a mystery. When the big plot twist came out and you find out why they're being plagued every October, it didn't really do anything for me. I was like, now what? I didn't like the writing. I liked the premise. The idea is better than the sum of its parts, is how I feel about this book. For me, that's not what I was expecting. That's not how it was marketed to me. And unfortunately, this was a fail for me. I wouldn't recommend it. That's just my opinion though. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Love interests in the accident season, how some people got paired up together. That was also a thing that irked me because she tried to make it as neat as possible by putting these pairings together. I didn't like that. But you do get some diversity in there, so I'll give it that. And last but not least, the book that I actually just finished, Scythe by Neal Shusterman. I actually read this on audiobook, and I love the narrator. I can't remember what his name is right now, but I'll put it on the screen somewhere. We follow Citra and Rowan, which are 2 regular, run-of-the-mill, ordinary people who get chosen by an elder Scythe to become his trainees. In this world, we are in a utopian world. We have conquered death. We have conquered disease. We have conquered war. And there is a huge power that controls humanity, which is what they call the Thunderhead, which is the second book. It's kind of like this massive computer that has algorithms that predict what's going to happen to humankind and make sure that everything is still stable and that there is no disease, there's no war, nothing like that, to keep peace in the world. And we have people that are called scythes who glean, which is basically they kill, to protect the population from becoming overpopulated. In a twist of fate, both of these 2 trainees come in contact with the same scythe. He sees something in both of them that makes him take both of them on as trainees, which no scythe has done before. They've only taken 1 at a time, but he took 2. So he starts training them and things like that. And so they start finding out that there's more to being a scythe than just being all powerful and killing. And they find that in the scythedom, there are completely different rules than the human world, where the Thunderhead has control over the human population, as opposed to the Scythedom. The Thunderhead's power and rule can't cross into the Scythedom. There's a lot of political images underlying this book, and I must say, I was enthralled in this book. I did not want this to end. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. The villain in this book, I hated this villain. Ooh, with a passion did I hate this villain. This book was fantastic. 4 out of 5. I totally recommend this book. If you guys want a series and if you like utopian or dystopian type of books, read this. I want to go back in here and I want to find out what happens in the next book, like now. That was my check-in for the first 2 weeks of May. I have read 5 books so far. I have 1 2-star, 2 3-stars, and 2 4-stars. So that makes it 5. I am pretty pleased with how my reading month is going so far. The Accident Season, though, I am very bitter about that book because I wanted that to be so good, but it just went a totally different direction. So have you guys read any of these books? I would love to chat with you guys. So just let me know all that down below, and I will leave all the info down below so you guys have access to that. I also want to give a huge thank you. I wish I could give you like the biggest hug ever to Abigail at AbigailHaleigh. I'll go ahead and link her channel up here if you guys haven't seen her. She was one of the first people that I subscribed to when I started my booktube channel, and she gave me a shout out in one of her videos, and I cannot begin to tell you how appreciative and how grateful I am. Oh my god, I'm gonna get super emotional. I am so sorry. It's extremely heartfelt for me to have one of you show me so much love like that. Thank you for liking my videos and just enjoying what I have to say, since I haven't really been here that long. It's probably not a big deal to everybody else, but to me that is so huge and so humbling and so gratifying, and just so, it just makes me so happy, on top of the world. And like I said, if you haven't seen it, I'll link her channel here and in the description box. Go check her out. She's awesome. Her vlogs that she's doing are so funny and so entertaining. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Until I see you again next time, have a wonderful rest of your day, night, week, wherever you are. Don't forget to hit that like button if you like this video, hit that subscribe button, and also that notification bell. It will let you know when I do upload. I wish you nothing but happiness and health, and I hope that your food tastes amazing, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. 내가 누군지 몰라 개매판을 뒤집어라 요만 뱉고 위를 가라잖아 걔나 알아 난 내 목을 졸라 게을러도 할리 골라 밟아놓고 비글처럼 찢어대지